we should be looking to create an umbrella of deterrence that goes much further than just Israel. Of course, I would make it clear to the Iranians that an attack on Israel would incur massive retaliation from the United States, but I would do the same with other countries in the region. We've got to deter other countries from feeling that they have to acquire nuclear weapons. You can't go to the Saudis or the Kuwaitis or UAE and others who have a legitimate concern about Iran and say, well, don't acquire these weapons to defend yourself unless you're also willing to say, we will provide a deterrent backup. And we will let the Iranians know that, yes, an attack on Israel would trigger massive retaliation, but so would an attack on those countries that are willing to go under this security umbrella and forswear their own nuclear ambitions. And one of the ways of testing it is to make it very clear that we are not going to permit them, if we can prevent it, from becoming a nuclear power. But were they to become so, their use of nuclear weapons against Israel would provoke a nuclear response from the United States, which personally I believe would prevent it from happening.
You said if Iran were to strike Israel, there would be massive retaliation. Scary words. Does massive retaliation mean you'd go into Iran, you would bomb Iran? Is that what that's supposed to suggest?
Well, the question was, if Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, what would our response be? And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. And I want them to understand that, because it does mean that they have to look very carefully at their society, because whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that, because that perhaps will deter them from doing something that would be reckless, foolish, and tragic.
The question is, what constitutes an attack on Israel were Iran to get a nuclear bomb? And what condition is Iran's nuclear program anyway? Can you negotiate with them at the same time as threatening a nuclear response? You know, these are pretty, it's brinkmanship and the kind of approach that is at odds with what Senator Obama has said.
Now, my belief is that they should also know that I will take no options off the table when it comes to preventing them from using nuclear weapons or obtaining nuclear weapons, and that would include any threats directed at Israel or any of our allies in the region.
So you would extend our deterrent to Israel?
As I said before, I think it is very important that Iran understands that an attack on Israel is an attack on our strongest ally in the region, one that one whose security we consider paramount, and that would be an act of aggression that I would consider an attack that is unacceptable, and the United States would take appropriate action.
My colleague Chris Cuomo is in Scranton, Pennsylvania, talking to Senator Clinton, and he asked her what would happen if Iran launched a nuclear attack against Israel, and she was very clear.
We would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that.
Very tough talk.
Well, look, we were asked about this at the debate, and I was absolutely clear about the fact that if Iran used nuclear weapons on Israel or any of our allies, we would respond forcefully and swiftly. But in some ways, this hypothetical presupposes a failure to begin with. We shouldn't allow Iran to have nuclear weapons, period. And I have consistently said that I will do everything in my power to prevent them from having it, and I have not ruled out military force as an option.
A person hears that response and they hear her response, totally obliterate. Now, she is very forceful, she is very exact in what she would do.
Well, I think that one of the things that we've seen over the last several years is a bunch of talk using words like obliterate doesn't actually produce good results. And so I'm not interested in saber rattling. I think the Iranians can be confident that I will respond forcefully and it will be completely unacceptable if they attack Israel or any other of our allies in the region with conventional weapons or nuclear weapons.